I thought we would basically conquer the world in 6 months and solve every problem for all the companies and all the, all the brands in the group, and then all the companies and build a massive businesses. And of course, the reality was completely different. I just realized there that everything happens much faster. So like Europe is so slow. Everything is achievable. You just need to understand the system and then understand the process to get there. I was amazed that people were amazed because I was like, I'm 23 years old. I'm just an intern. I'm just using my brain, Google, YouTube. You don't start a company by just registering your company. You basically say, okay, like how do I solve a problem and how do I get one client? How do I build wealth, even if I'm a normal employee without building businesses, by investing every month? So basically, Bitcoin was created as a hedge, an insurance against fiat currency devaluation. That's why it's called digital gold now. But not only. I mean, I'm saying that, but I also lost a lot of money. For example, in 2020, in the COVID crisis, I lost 80% of my money, went to zero because I had some leverage on crypto. So in these big companies, you're basically, it's a lot of show off, but there's not much substance behind it. And I understood it quickly, and I was like, what do I need to do to get a letter from the CFO so I can get to great masters and get good jobs later on? And for our generation, it's a big problem because we're looking for meaning. And so if you know that you're working until 11 p.m. every day, which is what I was doing, or 10 p.m., in order to do something that your boss tells you needs to be done tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., but you know that their boss, so the boss of your boss, is going to look at this thing in 2 weeks, what's the point, you know?
And you have control over measure what the effect of this Welcome everyone on the Unbiased podcast. Today I'm really happy to have a mate from HEC Lausanne. We did the bachelor together, so very long time ago. And Kevin traveled a lot in between. We kept a bit contact via social media. And today we really have the chance that he's here in Switzerland on my couch to discuss about his career, about crypto, about ambitions, dream, failure, and all the things that I really care about and would like to share with all of you. So not an academia today, but definitely a podcast I was looking forward and a discussion I was looking forward. So Kevin, thank you very much for being here and taking the time. It's really a great honor.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So first of all, we are really going, as I said, to talk about several things. But I think in the audience there are tons of students, partly from HEC Lausanne, where you were. So we are going to go there, where you are today, of course, because I haven't said much yet. But I would like also to listen to you and just hear what was your how did you get where you here now? So being fully independent, having your own company, managing everything on your own, and working on crypto mostly, traveling the world. But starting from HEC Lausanne, because many of the listeners are there. So also a few words on that.
Okay, I'll try to make it short. So I studied in HEC in 2010 to 2013, and I just always wanted to basically go abroad. So I decided actually I didn't want to do a master, but my father always told me, you're gonna do a master after uni, after the bachelor, because he was kind of like stopped in his career because he didn't have a master. So I was just like, okay, I'll do a master, but first I'm gonna go abroad because I just want to go abroad, which I didn't do during my bachelor. And so I went to Asia, to Hong Kong and Singapore to do some internships for Richmond Group, which is a luxury company. And I was basically an intern in the finance department.
So no master.
So that was just before the master. So I said I'm going to take one year off to go abroad, and I went to Asia for some reason. I think it's because in the third year of the bachelor we went to Shanghai. We're doing business in emerging classes. I don't know if it's still there, if it still exists, this class now.
I'm not sure, but I remember. Yeah.
But I was just thinking, wow, like Asia is absolutely not what I thought. I was just thinking, I was just so tight-minded. Like, I was thinking, it's just manga and whatever. And like, whatever. I went there and I was like, holy shit, like, this is insane. And so this was in Shanghai, but then I just said, okay, like, I'm going to go try to find an internship in Hong Kong, which I hear was a really pretty lit city. And so I ended up there, and it was pretty crazy and insane experience. And basically, I just realized there that everything happens much faster. So like Europe is so slow. Everything happens much faster. So I was just be an intern, but I was doing some. I mean, the truth is they had almost no work to give to me because they had too much stuff to do, and they were not prepared for an intern.
Okay.
So I ended up there and having almost nothing to do.
Okay.
So I just looked around. I was like, okay, all these reports and all this stuff. I'm gonna try to automate stuff and improve stuff, which I did, and then very quickly I ended up like talking and working with the CFO of the Asia Pacific region, and improving stuff basically. Just using Google, YouTube, and my brain.
Okay. Okay. I was
And
going to ask. Yeah.
that was basically 2013, 14.
Yeah.
You know, and so it was very. I mean, that's when I realized, holy shit! Like this Google, YouTube is not only to listen to music. You can learn so much stuff, and then you can apply it to different stuff. And now it seems obvious, but back then it was not that obvious, and I was just like, looking at. It was mostly Indian people tutorials for it was econometric models and all that stuff. How to apply this to real world kind of, and and so during this internship in Hong Kong, I was building some stuff that was more for the final, letter that you get at the end from the CFO. Than to actually build something. In these big companies, it's a lot of show off, but there's not much substance behind it. And I understood it quickly, and I was like, what do I need to do to get a letter from the CFO so I can get to great masters and get good jobs later on? But just doing that, then there was the CFO of Southeast Asia, so from Singapore, who came there, and I just talked to him very quickly, 1 minute, pitched myself. Okay, I'm doing that. Look at my models. Look at this. I want to do a master afterwards. I want to do a GMAT. Then I want to work for McKinsey because that's what my initial view.
The goal.
My initial goal. I never understood why. Probably it's because it was hard. Classic thing from uni. I want to do the hardest stuff, but you don't really know why.
Yeah.
And he loved the pitch. After 1 minute, he was like, "Do you want to come to Singapore?
Wow.
Like, here's my car to do another internship." I was like, "Holy shit! Yeah, cool."
Yeah.
And so, basically, I went to Singapore right after 2014. It was still during this 1 year break, and in Singapore, I mean, a bunch of stuff happened. I arrived and I started to build some. So I started to improve the finance department in terms of reporting to automate stuff, which gave me ideas.
What tools were you using? Just I'm curious.
I was just using some tools that were
like
basically
in Excel or language or something.
Exactly. So in these big companies, you can't bring anything new.
Yeah.
Because the IT department will just block everything. So I was just looking at how can I improve things given what is given, or what So it's a bunch of plugins you can just tick and like that people didn't know about, but are actually life changing. And in terms of reporting to automate stuff. But anyway, so I improved stuff there, and people were amazed, and I was amazed that people were amazed because I was like, I'm 23 years old, I'm just an intern, I'm just using my brain, Google, YouTube, and that's when I realized that if you want to improve stuff at least in a big company, you're going to be better than 99% of the people, because most people just don't want to. They're just here to work and make money. They don't even want to improve stuff.
I see.
So that was one thing. And the other thing, basically, I talked to a lot of people in Asia. You can just go out or whatever. You're going to meet an entrepreneur or a guy, a CEO of a startup, whatever, very quickly. And you're going to go talk to them, and you're going to pitch yourself, and then you're going to make friends in like 5-10 minutes, and then you're going to say, hey, can we have a dinner tomorrow? And then they would do it.
Yeah.
Which is a dynamic that doesn't really happen here, and so I would just talk to all these guys, and they would all tell me, they would all be like 40 something years old, and they all had worked for McKinsey, BCG, investment banks, Goldman Sachs, all that stuff. And they all told me the same thing, which was, man, I wish I had done what I'm doing now, so basically building businesses 20 years earlier when I was your age. And I was like, that's weird that they're saying that. So maybe all my idea about doing this McKinsey stuff, and maybe why are they saying that, And so basically merging, just listening to these guys and also seeing, I'm improving stuff in this massive company, which is a 10 billion revenue company, and it's so easy to improve stuff. I'm gonna keep this in my mind, and maybe the startup world is something that's better for me because these guys, they're much more. I was doing my internship. I was doing my stuff, but it was not. I was not in an environment like very driven. You know, I realized very quickly that most of the things that people do in these big companies, it's just to make their boss happy, but actually the end result is not used. It's completely useless. And so, and for our generation, it's a big problem because we're looking for meaning. And so, if you know that you're working until 11 p.m. every day, which is what I was doing, or 10 p.m. In order to do something that your boss tells you needs to be done tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., but you know that their boss, so the boss of your boss, is going to look at this thing in 2 weeks. What's the point? You know,
I see.
and you have no life. Nothing makes sense. So I was like, okay, like probably startups, because I talked to the entrepreneurs, probably more for something for me. I never really thought about starting a business because I don't know, like I didn't even know what it meant. Then I went to do my master's in Madrid, and I talked to all the people who were there, and they all had worked for PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, the Big Four, and all these companies, which are pretty classic places where people go after HEC. And all these people, they told me, I told them, look, like I built this stuff to automate reporting in this big finance department for Asia Pacific for this big company. And they're all like, man, like in Coca-Cola, we had the same problem. Or in PwC, we had the same problem. And I was like,
really?
Oh, it's not. I was like, oh, it's not only this big company, luxury company that is like old school. Everywhere is the same, really. So coupling this, what these entrepreneurs are told me that they wish they had started 20 years ago. Plus, I started to build some stuff, and it seems that it's the same problem everywhere. I'm not gonna apply to jobs after my master. I'm gonna start a company, whatever that means, because most of the people, it was the 2015, and it was starting to become cool to start businesses because there was Instagram and Facebook, Instagram, Google. Instagram sold for 1 billion after 2 years. So everybody wanted to become an entrepreneur. Actually, the school I went was kind of marketed as an entrepreneur school, i.e. business school. Although I really don't think you can teach entrepreneurship. But anyway, and so basically, I was just like, okay, there is a problem that seems to be everywhere. I kind of have the beginning of the solution, but I'm not technical enough. I need to find people who are more technical to complete the team. But it seems to make sense to solve this. I just felt that that's the thing I had to do, you know. I was like, I need to. So I was like, there's a problem. Like if it's everywhere, like someone needs to solve it. I don't understand why it's not solved.
And you enjoy doing it. You enjoy finding those solutions.
I mean, I just like to solve problems. I'm a problem solver, and that's it basically. And then I found 2 other guys in the master, and then I just had 2 contacts, and the CFO of Richmond Asia Pacific and the CFO of Richmond Southeast Asia, and I was still in touch with them because they really liked me for my personality. Because I was the person, I was doing an internship with them, you know, like nothing crazy, but like just being the person who goes to finance department and accounting department and tells everyone, hey, let's have lunch together, is something, especially in Asia, that didn't happen much. So like they remember you, people remember you for how cool, how lovable you are, you know. And then because relationships and all that stuff is the basis of anything at work. So basically, they remembered me, they loved me, and they were like, hey, what are you up to? What are you up to every 1-2 months? And I sent an email and I said, hey, I found some new technologies that are going to solve what I was trying to solve at your company, that you were very impressed, but that actually was really shit what I did because I'm not technical. I have a team. And then I just thought, how do I make them a no-brainer to have a start and a foot in the door? I said, hire us as intern. And pay us whatever you want. We'll try these new technologies on your own data because all this data stuff is very sensitive, you know. So I had to find a way to get a foot in the door. And
so no company at the time.
Nothing.
No, we were just defined as such. But basically, you managed.
You don't start a company by just registering your company. You basically say, okay, like how do I solve a problem, and how do I get one client? Will someone even pay me for what I want to do? Because maybe the reason why all this stuff is not solved anywhere is because no one cares. You know, like, and I was in the department seeing them all work. 30 people work overtime all the time.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not a priority for businesses to solve their data issue, whatever. So the CFO of the Richmond Asia Pacific just answered to me. Usually it would take like 3 weeks to answer. Like he answered within one day and he said, I'm becoming CFO of Dunhill. It's one of the brands of the group. The HQ is in London. Come to London after your master. So basically, right after the master, we flew to London. And
with your team at the time?
With the two other guys, exactly.
Cool.
And we started there basically as interns. And then I thought basically we would basically conquer the world in 6 months and solve every problem for all the companies and all the brands in the group, and then all the companies and build a massive businesses. And of course, the reality was completely different. It took us 10 months to turn this internship into a real client.
Okay.
And to actually start our company.
So what do you mean into a real client? What was the change?
I mean, the change was first we were paid like, I don't even remember, 1.2k pounds a month each as interns.
Yeah.
And then it was basically, how do we turn this into, doing a 3-month project that's making us massively profitable on year one.
I see. Okay.
And so, we built the company there. We got another bunch of the brands of the group as clients.
Okay. It's interesting because it's kind of with what maybe you're doing now and with social media, you kind of you have to provide content already for free sometimes.
Absolutely.
And to show that really that I'm necessary to you and I can provide you already something useful, and then people will come and ask more. But if you try to keep everything for you, maybe somebody else will give it for free, as you found like on YouTube and already 10 years ago. That's just massive, a different era when you compare social media. But that's interesting that it's the same here in the business.
I mean, the business even more because in business even more because you have to build relation. I mean, it's kind of similar, it's true. But in business, like the person in front is taking a career risk when they hire you.
Yeah.
Especially if it's B2B, business to business, and they're gonna spend a couple of $100,000 on these guys in IT who are 23 years old, Like no one would do that. Actually, because one of my co-founders, he had like really good contacts. We had some meetings with like CFOs of like Selfridges or Harrods, like massive things. We would end up in this office and we would show the thing, and it would actually, they had the same problem everywhere. But the guy was just like saying, he was like gray hair or no hair, and he was like, guys, like I can't justify spending $500,000 on 3 guys like you. And we never even asked that much. We would ask 10 times less, but like still, like.
But then you get
carry
risk.
So like basically, we needed to find someone who we would build so much trust that they would take a career risk to get us started. And it took 10 to 11 months, and I was really lucky. He was the CFO of Richmond Asia Pacific, who I had a really good relationship with, and who, by the way, now is still one of my biggest clients, because every new group he goes, he just takes our company as a client, because that's how it works in the.
So you're still doing this optimization in companies about
still data. But I have teams doing that, but I get the clients and basically I have the relationship. So every time they go to a new company, now he's CEO of another big luxury group, and he just, hey Kevin, can you come? Because every time you solve the problem everywhere, So actually, when someone leaves, you're happy that they leave, because they're gonna bring you to a new client. And so by the way, I manage like a lot of money for him in crypto now, because we have such a good relationship. But we really need to have like this person who takes this risk, and that's so important.
So just before crypto, which might be a long discussion, did you learn something at HEC that was useful for today? Honestly, that's called the Unbiased podcast. So usually it's with respect to the statistics, but really the point here is there are a few things that I really would like to ask you honestly. Honestly, what do you think today?
So maybe I'm just going to finish on the few things I've done, so maybe people understand a bit more.
Go ahead.
So basically, then we exited this company after 3 years, and then I started another one in Geneva that didn't work because of COVID, and another 2 Hong Kong, Singapore, and then another 2 in the crypto field, because I started to invest early on. Actually, when I started my first business, we had to set up a pension plan. And I was thinking, what's a good pension plan for employees and ourselves, who are employees too?
Yeah.
And I was like, what's the definition of a good pension plan? And this basically led me to read a lot about investing and what does it mean to invest and in good products and all that stuff. And I realized that basically the entire financial system is basically rigged against people, and all the pension funds and all that stuff, basically they're managed by banks and asset managers that take so much fees that actually, because these fees are like compounded interest, but against you, actually you could, if you do it yourself and you know what to do and you take 15 minutes a month, you can actually retire probably 10 to 20 years earlier, because you don't have all these fees and hidden fees taken by all these people who have a nice suit and tie and beautiful car and beautiful house that they pay with your fees that basically don't compound in your favor. So basically I understand all this stuff, and I was like, oh, I love this investing game. So I started to invest a lot regularly. I mean, which is basically very easy. You just invest in index funds, low cost ETF every month, and that's how you never sell, basically. That's how you build wealth. You invest $300 a month for 30 years in an index fund, and you're going to be a millionaire. It's just mathematical, basically. And so to invest, and then when we exceeded the first business after 3 years in 2018, we got like a good chunk of money, and I was like, where do I invest that? And because I had read a bunch of books on investing, I was looking for a depressed market, because that's where people make most of their money. They invest, for example.
What's the depressed market?
So basically, it's a market that is completely in depression.
Okay.
So like that no one talks about anymore.
Okay.
So if you look at, for example, the guys who made it massively big during the Great Depression in 1929-30, like there's this guy called Sir John Templeton. He borrowed, I think it was 100K. I mean, which today is more,
exactly.
or he borrowed 10K. I don't remember. But he invested in the 100 penny stocks. So penny stocks are stocks that are worth less than $1. And 3 went to 0, and all the rest like went massively up, because he was just investing in this depressed market when no one wanted the stocks. And then he became multi-millionaire and then billionaire, and like then he did a lot of great things with charities and all that stuff. And I was just like thinking about this example, and I was like, okay, I have this money. I'm not going to invest in stocks. It's been going up since 2009 for 10 years. In real estate, same, all that. And I was like, oh shit, crypto. Like this crypto thing, there was a massive bubble last year, so 2017. So basically, I'm going to go and have a look. The last massive bubble when.
So it was what, 15 at the time, 15K.
So Bitcoin went to 20K in 2017, and then it went down to 3K, and ETH went up to 1.4K, and then it went down to like $80, and all that. So everything was down 95%. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go have a look at this crypto stuff, and then basically like if you really understand what this is all. I mean, today is easier to understand. Before there was much less fewer applications. But still, like if you spend a lot of time reading it, you're like, this is life changing. And so I invested all my money there, basically, everything. And I kept investing everything that I was doing every month there, 2018, 19, 2020.
So do you consider yourself as really, you are not risk averse, or you feel today that you understood the risk you were taking and you manage this risk?
I think I'm a risk taker. Otherwise, I would never have started businesses. But everything is calculated risks. And I mean, I'm saying that, but I also lost a lot of money. For example, in 2020, in the COVID crisis, I lost 80% of my money, went to 0, because I had some leverage on crypto. Very low leverage. So basically, leverage basically is kind of playing with borrowed money, to make it simple. Except in crypto, you don't borrow the money. You just have something we call the liquidation price. So basically, if you leverage yourself 10 times, if the price goes down, I think it's 10%, you didn't borrow money, but if it goes down more than 10%, your position is liquidated, so you lose all your money. I was borrowed 2 times, so position would have to go 50% down to lose your money. And I ended up losing everything. I mean, all my crypto basically in 2020, early March. So everything I had bought. So I was thinking, I was telling you, calculated risk, but sometimes you think it is, but you don't even realize the risk you're taking. But that's how you learn, basically. But for me, even when I lost 80% of my money, went to 0, I had another 20%, and I was like, in stocks and gold and commodity, whatever. And I was like, I had so much conviction in crypto that I sold everything during the crash. So everything was down 30% in stocks. I still sold it to rebuy crypto that was down 80%.
So at the time you lost it, you reinvested at the
I invested
same moment
everything
because-
back. So basically, I was telling my parents I also lost the business at the same time. So I was like in my bed for 3 days, like sleeping, and I was like, but it's just my gut feeling because I was so educated and it was so obvious to me. I was like, I'm just gonna reinvest everything I have into crypto because it's gonna be life changing, and I'm gonna have this story to tell where basically I lost 80% of my money. It all went to zero. So it's not just the thing goes down and you still have the asset. I lost the asset because I got liquidated, but yet I reinvested everything, and I knew within 1.5 or 2 years I would be basically retired. Because I knew it. It's just, I mean, I don't know how to explain that. So I think it's a lot of conviction and calculated risk, and it's a lot of education and how you educate yourself. The more you educate yourself, the more you build the conviction that all the other people who are kind of naysayers, they don't do. And it's also trying. Most people, they're saying, this is a scam, this is shit, but they don't try. If you try, you see, holy shit, like, then you can like basically have your imagination taking over and think about the future just possible. So yeah, basically I built a few businesses, exited some, failed one, still have 2 doing some data stuff, but teams do everything, so I do almost nothing. And then I have 2 crypto businesses. One is a crypto media company where we built a pretty substantial following. So basically, because we're in crypto, it's all happening on Twitter. So it's called crypto Twitter. It's a bunch of people with avatar, profile picture, NFTs, and you just basically go online. It's like a big video game. It's a bit weird, and all day long people like what you call shit posts. But you can also learn a lot of stuff about what's happening, and that's where basically I met all my crypto friends online, and then basically I went to see them Dubai, and then we said, we made basically all this money. Like, some they want to make much more, and some they're just like, how do we basically make sense of this? Let's build a community where we're going to teach everyone for free how to navigate these crypto markets in a risk-adjusted way, so they don't get destroyed after 2 or 3 weeks. They get in at the wrong moment when everything goes up, then it goes down 80%, and then they leave forever because they think it's shit.
And they lost everything.
And exactly. And we were also a bunch of guys who were just applying the traditional principle, the timeless principle of investing into crypto. So timeless principle of investing to build wealth, to retire early, is basically I just take some money every month of my salary, 10-20%. I just invest it in ETFs that are low cost, diversified, and that basically will give me 8-10% annualized. An index fund. So basically an ETF, for example, is the S&P 500. So you can buy one product and it's going to invest directly in the 500 largest market cap of the American stock market. So instead of buying just Apple or Amazon, you're basically diversified directly. And if if you have 500 companies but some fail, they're just replaced by others in the product. Whereas if you buy the wrong one, it's going to zero.
Keep going. Okay.
So basically, it's how to be diversified, and at the same time, these ETFs, because there's a lot of money in there, they have very low fees, which is the most important thing in crypto. In investing, tax, fees, and fear. Tax, how do I optimize my taxes because it's my biggest expense. Because if I can reinvest all my taxes because I go to tax-free places, I'm going to retire much earlier because I can compound my money much faster. Fees, I want the lowest fees, so I want to do it myself, and I want to invest in products that basically are low fees because I understand that fees are basically compounding against me. And some examples, just random examples. Let's say I invest $300 or $400 a month. I start when I'm 25. At 55, I'm probably going to have 1 or 1.5 million. If I invest in an ETF, that's going to give me 8-10% annualized, and I just compound this for 30 years. Okay. Now, if I don't do it myself, I'm going to pay fees to someone. Probably 1, 2, or 3%. And often there's like kind of fees that are not really or whatever. Like you don't really know. You don't even know how much you're paying. You don't really know your performance. Same on third pillar, all that shit, basically. And so and this is life changing. Like people don't understand that if I give my money to someone and I get charged 2 or 3% fees, my compounding is not 8% anymore per year on S&P 500. It's 5.
Yeah.
And so basically just these 2 or 3% make that after 30 years, instead of 1 million, I'm going to have 500,000.
Yeah.
Like just that, like
Yeah.
changing, either doing it yourself, 15 minutes a month,
Yeah.
or changing your third pillar provider. And so basically this, what does it mean? Either you have to work much longer, either you stop working, but you might run out of money, which is a big problem for a lot of people who get into retirement even now.
Yeah.
You know, our parents, they're just
clearly.
they're all, you know, like, or I could have retired 10 years earlier if I had done that, but I'm going to have to end up working still until whatever, 55, 66, whatever. Like this retirement age that is, by the way, just going up, like, it's just nonsense. It's just because people, they think that the company they work for, the government is taking care of themselves. But it's not the case. I mean, yes, but if you understand how all this stuff works, and it's not that complicated, it's like basically reading 1 or 2 books and then doing it yourself. That's it. And if you understand that,
that's the stage I am now.
Yeah.
Following your channels,
So
trying to educate myself.
So if you understand that,
uh,
I mean, the question is, people, it's too complicated, blah, blah, blah. Fine, but it's not. It's not, and it's really worth like taking a few hours to educate yourself, because you can literally build the plan and stop working 10 years or 20 years earlier, or be chill. You know, like when you retire, like what's the it's priceless, like the piece, the being, you know,
the peace of mind.
Yeah, the peace of mind, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but it's just it's just the entire system is made opaque, because all these companies and all these financial systems, like, they need to make money, because they're providing jobs, they need to make profit, and they're listed on stock exchange, so they need to give back money to the shareholders and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But actually, in investing, there is what we call the principal agent problem.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, it's same as shareholders versus customers.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a financial advisor, it's very likely, even if it's not, you're not doing something bad, your company is there to make money. You're a bank, you know, or whatever, an asset manager. To make money, you need to take fees. Yeah. So basically, all the products that are being sold are likely to not be in your client's best interest in the long term, because you want to extract fees, because that's how you make money. Yeah. But the fees that you extract are compounding against your clients. And so basically,
I see.
And so all your pension, the pensions that are managed by the big companies, they're given to these banks. Yeah. And so, I mean, often, that's why, as an employee, you don't have any impact on your pension, because you can't choose where it's going. You cannot. That's why you need to have a plan B, which is going to become your plan A, which is, how do I build wealth, even if I'm a normal employee without building businesses, by investing every month, so that I would never even need a third pillar and second pillar, you know, or even third pillar, you know, like, and it's much easier than people think, basically. It's just investing a chunk of money every month for 20 or 30 years in, you know, either low cost diversified index fund or compounding on steroids, crypto, BTC, ETH, and all that stuff, where basically your capital gain, so the amount is growing much faster. I mean, it's much more volatile. So basically, volatility is the price you pay for performance. Yeah. But at the same time, you get also much better yield. Yeah. So just interest on your crypto. On my dollars, I earn 20% easily. On my Bitcoin, I earn 5-6%, but Bitcoin compounds at, since the beginning, 150% annualized, whereas S&P 500 would be 8 to 10%. So you're compounding your money 15 times faster with Bitcoin, which is basically the least volatile asset. If you go to ETH, I don't know the numbers, but instead of, you know, is basically compounding much faster. So basically, it's all that. Like, at the end of the day, like, do you want to take charge of your own future and finances, or do you basically trust the government and the companies? The companies, they're just going to take the money and give it to bankers, because that's how it works, you know, because they have billions in a pension fund. Like, what do I do with that? Like, like, I'm going to give it to someone. It's normal. Do you think people who manage all this stuff know what they're doing? No, because they're normal people. most of the things in the world are not built to help people. They're built to basically for the economy, you know. And when you understand that, you're like, oh, if I just make a bit more effort, first I think it's really interesting to understand new stuff, and second is like, how do I find my way kind of out of all this stuff? And if you really question this stuff and all this stuff and kind of find some solutions, you can actually do much better, much faster than you thought you could.
Yeah. So I think basically, in short, kind of, it completely makes sense. Basically, if you do things yourself, first you have more control, but you have to know the stuff. And second, basically, as you are not paying someone to do it, it's everything that you will earn more, but you have to invest time to do this step. So basically, instead of saying, okay, manage my money, of course, the person will take, I mean, I'm teaching micro 101. It's like maximize profit. Okay, I'm a bit cynical, maybe because I learned economics, but that's how it works. We mentioned different actors in the economy. Everybody works like this. I mean, I have a friend who is a cop in Morges, and he's telling me like the state give to our police station 50% of what it needs to sustain normal salaries and everything. So they need to work 50% by having people pay things, and so they need kind of crime, and it's completely insane. You think it's a police station, and so that's completely logic upside down. So indeed, always talk with the first year. Like it's kind of how it works the world today. It's not that economists want that. It's rather you have this pragmatic view, objective view. Okay, the world works like this. People will try to maximize profit today. Then we can talk about the reason, but that's another discussion. So I understand your point of view with that. At least it's sovereignty, basically. Yeah.
It's really, I think the main takeaway is really, and it's the same, by the way, it's the same when you go to a classroom. Like the thing I was always really good at is very quickly understand the environment I'm in, the context.
Yeah.
So what does it mean? I'm going to a classroom. The reason I'm going to a classroom is to see my friends, to talk shit with them, like to have fun, and like to just have an ear like that to listen to the professor, because every now and then he's going to give you a hint on what he wants in the exam. That's it. Like, how do I need to answer in the exam to get the best grade, but without even understanding the subject, you know? Because at the end of the day, like, it's just a system. Everything is a system. And you need to understand every system that do you understand the game you're playing, you know? And same with this cop thing, like, imagine when I didn't know that, but like, you go, like now if you interact with someone who's trying to give you a fine or whatever, if you understand that, you're going to be much better armed to like basically deal with the situation or prevent it before. And for most of the stuff, it's like that. Like there is systems and there is processes, and most people don't understand these systems. That's how other people can benefit from them. If you understand the system and you understand the process that works, everything, you're going to be successful. Like there is a system there's a process to, people think to build a business or to build wealth or to build, I don't know, shape or, wow. It's just a system, like to just need to train correctly, eat correctly, sleep correctly. For example, for physical activity.
Put effort, because sometimes it's also you
it's just consistency.
You kind of hope that there is a free lunch.
There is no zero free lunch. I mean, sometimes. I mean, now you could argue maybe in crypto it's 20%. I mean, there's some risk to it, but like no, there is opportunities to be taken. But everything is much less sexy. People love the kick of this is unachievable. Like like everything is achievable. You just need to understand the system and then understand the process to get there. All these people who build followings, massive followings it's just a process. Like you just. I'm trying one now with Instagram. Actually, it's probably the worst moment to start because the Instagram algorithm is shit, and everybody, all the big influencers, they're like, I'm losing 50% of my stories views because they changed all the algorithm to make money because the stock because they're not making enough money. So basically, they're like, okay, how do I take all my influencers and make them pay for post promotion to make money for my shareholder? I mean, but anyway. Even that, again, I'm like, people are all whining because they built a massive following, and I don't care. I'm going to find the ways to still grow the account. Like, there is a way every time. You just need to figure out the new process. And that's how everything works. But for that, you need to understand the system you are in and be aware of like the person in front of you. What are their incentives in life? You know, like and are they bad, or is like the organization or the thing they're working for like kind of rigged against you? Like, and for everything is the same in life. Everything, and probably is the thing I'm kind of like I was the kind of best at also to sell, my businesses and sell my ideas and my services and all this stuff. It's just that. It's like how empathetic are you and understanding the other person's kind of agenda or limitation or constraints, so you can sell them something that is basically a win-win. It's helping them. Often, for example, in business, you're not helping the company. You're helping the person you sell the product or service to look better towards their boss. That's it. So you need to communicate that, like, hey, look how you're gonna look good after we work together. It's not, hey, look how your company is gonna improve by saving whatever. It's not that. And it's just how the world works, basically.
So just of course you talk about studies, so I have to to put a bit of a perspective. So the way you approach the studies, because I asked that earlier on, at least in HEC, if I understood well, it's basically you play the system to maximize your way out and get things done with time for other things you enjoyed, but not necessarily profiting or enjoying what was given in the class, because that was not what you were after.
The thing is, now HEC I think is a bit different, because HEC was really hard. And so I studied a lot.
Okay.
And
because
I wanted to get the best grades, because I wanted to work for McKinsey for some reason. I ended up never even like showing my grades to anyone, but anyway, just the perfectionist side. So I studied a lot. I didn't really enjoy it like much, to be honest. Third year was great because it was more chill, it was less math. But I think to have really good grades was a mix between studying super hard in HEC and understanding what professors wanted. If you just understood what professors wanted, you would get probably destroyed because it was too hard. But in other schools, like my master's and all the previous high school, like it was understanding what people wanted. Was pretty much enough.
I see, I understand perfectly. Okay, sure. No, it was just to be sure to share with my students, like they not stop listening to me. No, but at least there are several ways to play the things, and indeed, I mean, maybe I was on the other end of the spectrum. Like I was reading the books in statistics, like every sentence, and other books in statistics, because I just loved that. It was never asked in the exam and not useful for the exam. The thing that I had to do to maximize but then it gave me something else. I mean, you learn things through this way. I've learned others through another way. So just to also to put some perspective on that. But yeah, that's super interesting. And already time is running out. So of course it is.
Of course it was going to happen.
So really, I think there is maybe something, and then you can jump if you want to add something else. Really about crypto. I think that's something that's also discussed today, and you'll see how you want to. We already discussed a bit about that off record, but really I think there is also from someone who is like I know nothing about crypto, and I know I'm starting to learn because I'm following you and learning those things. But really I think there is something interesting today, and that you mentioned, kind of speaking about COVID, is really the sovereignty. And that's kind of things that you are talking about your third pillar, investments, doing things for your retirement on your own. And you have all those situations in the world right now, like Ukraine, the population, if I'm not mistaken, it's the share of people with the highest share of people owning crypto are in Ukraine. And potentially as an insurance against it in this situation. Can think about Lebanon. I have family there, and of course, you have at some point a financial crash. Your money that you invested or saved all your life is crashing completely, and the bank is closed, and you just see this happen because you have no control over your money and you lose everything. As I guess with crypto, you can always, if you manage to have like your hard wallet or things like that, I'm really not sure that I understand everything. Maybe you are safer because you can manage, but you have risk. I mean, you have a lot of variability. I mean, right now the market are not really high, but that's the life of crypto. So what do you think about that? About the
So,
point? Yeah.
I think the most important thing for people who, I mean, again, like for me, all this stuff, I approach it as an investor. So it's understanding the basic principle of investing without crypto, how to build wealth. That is not that difficult. You just need a plan, invest an amount every month for 30 years, let's say so. Okay, and you're gonna get to your financial freedom after, let's say, 30 years. If you invest 400, 500 bucks a month, every month you never sell, you compound your money. Now, there's different ways to approach crypto. Mine is like very kind of investor approach, then the other people approaching for the art or the NFTs and all this stuff actually is much better for most people to approach it that way because they understand better why.
Okay.
But for me, like, if you understand wealth building, you understand crypto is wealth building on steroids because it's a small asset class, and if you understand basically that it's what we call now kind of Web3.
Yeah.
So you had Web 1 in 1990s, read data and information from a computer. Yeah. Then you had Web 2, which was basically not only you read, but you can write data. So you can be a blogger or you can be a content creator on social media. So you can basically read and write. Yeah. So basically it's the blogging and social and mobile waves, Web 2. But when you could read and write the information and build massive audience, and everybody is becoming content creator or a journalist. But you're still kind of prisoner of these massive companies like Meta, Google, Facebook, etc., LinkedIn, Instagram, that basically need to turn a profit because they're owned by shareholders. So and they can censor you anytime.
Yeah.
Same as banks can freeze your bank account, the social media companies, they can censor you if you don't follow the political agenda, etc. Now in Web3, the kind of promise is, and it started with Bitcoin, where basically you can send peer-to-peer money without a third party. Yeah. Kind of, if you take the social media kind of example, you can build these massive audiences, but you own the data, so you own your audience. So you can just take them from platform to another. If your platform is starting to act against you, which it shouldn't because it's decentralized. So if it's decentralized, it's going to be owned. In Web3, everything that is being built is owned by the builders, the content creators, and the community themselves. The members are basically incentivized to be part of a community but with tokens. And so it's a completely different dynamic than a company with shares that needs to maximize profit for shareholders.
But now for crypto, for example, Bitcoin, it's like you have a few people owning a massive share, or it's not the case anymore?
Like, I mean, like everything, you have like concentration, but the thing is becoming more and more.
You don't have like 10 people managing the market or able to.
I mean, it's probably still very manipulated. Okay. Because you have a bunch of like hedge funds and guys who are like super early and manage a lot, but because more and more people start to understand what this stuff is. For example, just Bitcoin. Bitcoin, what is it? It's basically why was it invented and when? 2008 during the great financial crisis. Okay. Why? Because a bunch of super smart people just said, oh, every time there's a crisis or a fund or a war to fund since hundreds of years, the government prints money to fund this. So the debt is just increasing, and so what if you have cash, it's worth nothing. The reason why most real estate and stock go up is not because there's more demand, or it's not because of that. It's actually the nominal value going up because of infinite money printing by central banks. So which means that again, if you're if you're an employee and you just save cash, you're just losing purchasing power massively. The dollar is down in purchasing power 99% over the last 100 years. 99%. If you didn't invest, you lost 99%. And the dollar is one of the best fiat currencies out there. Average fiat currency, I think lifespan is 27 years. 27 years, and then it goes to shit. It goes to zero. The best currencies, pound, dollar, Swiss franc, are like down like 99% over the last 100 years. Why? Because government print money.
we see exactly this right now massively. I mean, with the US,
especially during the COVID, I think is what opened people's eyes towards Bitcoin. What is this? Actually, why was it created? It was created as a hedge against money printing and fiat currency devaluation by governments. That's why 21 million Bitcoin. It's that's why people call it digital gold. It's actually more scarce than gold because there's only 21 million coins ever. But basically, is a speculative way to store your wealth in the future and to keep your wealth. And actually, now you can not only keep it, but actually grow it kind of massively in the future if you have a long-term view. People don't understand the volatility, so they look too short-term. Same as with the Amazon and like the internet stocks. If you just bought and held forever, you outperformed everyone who tried to buy and sell and all this stuff.
Exactly.
So basically, Bitcoin was created as a hedge, an insurance against fiat currency devaluation. That's why it's called digital gold now. But not only. It was also basic. There's a lot of properties. So one of them is store of value. The other basically is I can send Bitcoin from a place to another without going through the banking system. So I can send Bitcoin.
Intermediaries.
Exactly. There's no third party. So I can send Bitcoin to anyone, anywhere, whether you're a human or not. It could be a machine. And whether you're in Venezuela or in, I don't know, Uganda or Switzerland. And it's massive because the banks like just stop you from a lot of this stuff. And the governments have control over the banks and they can seize assets or freeze accounts and all that stuff, which people were always like, oh, this happens only, in Argentina, there is massive inflation because the central bank is printing massive money, but people, they want to get their cash out to buy something. They cannot because they just freeze everything or they limit the withdrawal. And people just, oh no, but it's just in third world countries, I'm in the US, I'm in Europe, whatever. Look what happened in Canada. So again, like we can talk about, I'm not the best informed person on like, these protests and all this stuff with these truck drivers and like how much they're trying to do a coup or whatever. But just the principle is like the person, the prime minister can just go and say, we're going to freeze all your bank accounts in Canada. Like that's a problem because maybe it's justified in that case. I don't know. But like if you are,
but it can happen.
Look in Russia now, like there's some banks that just said you can just withdraw $20 a day. And same happened in Lebanon recently, in Cyprus when there was all this crisis. People lost all their money from their life because the thing went to zero, crashed massively, and they couldn't even do anything with that. So with Bitcoin, basically you own your own money. There's no bank.
But it might crash.
So basically it's volatile. But just look at the evolution in the last 10 years, 9 million%. So like if again, like what's better? Something that's very volatile and that crashes 50% or 60 or 80% every now and then, but always end up going back higher because more and more people understand what it is, why it's important, and more buy into it, and there's a fixed supply, so price goes up. Or owning a money that for certainty will go down to zero because of inflation, money printing. And that can also, by the way, be seized if you're unlucky, you're in the wrong place, or there's a war or whatever. What's the best? What's the least worst?
I think the strategy, it really echoes what you're saying and what you presented, and with something you say a lot on social media, which is about peace of mind. And I think that might be the choice. And what happens with many people is that they still think, it's a bit too complex to invest to think about that. So about peace of mind, it will be simpler to follow what everybody's doing. But exactly. So basically, what's the simple things to do is I put things in the bank, I wait, everybody does that. I just trust someone else, which might be a strategy. But I think it's really related to this, and I understand better now your message about peace of mind. I mean, that now you're educated, you understand that you can invest. Keeping with your strategy of investment of holding, you can have this peace of mind.
Yeah, and like I put things in the bank, like there's like two problems here. Most people, they just work, save money in cash. Cash is, because of inflation, cash is going down. Like now it's like 8% a year. Like you have $1 million, you lose 80K a year. Like just because you just don't invest it. So first you need cash is you need a bit of cash, but like you need to invest your money. That's first.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about crypto. If you don't invest your money, you're basically losing money every year. Like basically, it's not even a choice anymore. That's how the world works. Second, this Bitcoin thing is basically, at some point, you're basically going to look, I mean, it's a bit more like investing thing, but like, how do I outperform? When you're an investor, you have like money. How do I outperform all this inflation? And basically what we like is more like what we call currency inflation, basically the money printing of central banks. If they print, for example, US printed 40% of all the dollar in circulation just in 1 year, in 2020, 2021. If they print, let's say, at 15% a year, it means that you need to invest in assets that are going to give you more than 15% per year. And actually, a lot of them don't. How do I outperform that? Basically, I think is if you look at all the charts, S&P 500, whatever, gold, stocks, whatever, Bitcoin, Nasdaq, and you divide by the fiat currency, the central bank money printing, most of them since 20, 30 years, they're flat. So even if you invested, you took your money, invested into stocks that went up 5 or 6x in that frame, you made no money. Real term wise, you made no money. No money. The only one that outperformed was Nasdaq, because it's technology stocks, but it's much more volatile, and Bitcoin, basically. So actually, then you realize, oh shit, like actually, I not only need to invest, but I need to find the right places to actually beat this central bank printing. Then that's a bit more advanced, but then basically you understand, okay, Bitcoin is this thing that is very volatile, and people don't like volatility. Sure, it's normal. But again, my money otherwise is losing purchasing power if I invest in a lot of other stuff. If I keep it cash, it's going to zero for sure. Like I can't keep my wealth. That's why people just buy real estate. They don't buy real estate because they want to have. They buy real estate to store their wealth. That's why all these markets are going like crazy, because it needs to be invested to keep up your wealth for your future generation. So this Bitcoin is going like crazy, but long term is going up a lot, basically. Why? Because it's sovereign money. I can take control of it. I have much more control. It's supplied, it's limited, so it's kind of digital gold, but I can move it much easier, and then a bunch of other properties. And then you think, why would I invest in that stuff? Because not only of that, but also because this peer-to-peer without third party is what incepted this entire new Web3 ideas that is being applied to every industries now. So you have Ethereum, basically, which is this platform, which is basically the decentralized iOS or Android. It's a platform on which you can build any kind of application that is going to be decentralized. Bitcoin is unstoppable money. Ethereum is unstoppable code. So you can build applications, whatever kind of application, kind of new banks or new lending protocols or new whatever you want. But that's unstoppable. Cannot be seized, shut down. And because there is no third party, all the money that is made by the third party, for example, in the music industry, if I'm an artist, 80% of my money, I think the statistic is only 1,000 people artists who are on Spotify make more than 50K a year from Spotify. Only 1,000. All the money is going to the third parties, to the labels, just in the music. Then you have the same in film industry, everywhere. Because you have these big companies that are for profit, and also you need to pay all these people, and that's kind of old school, same as banks. It's like old. If you skip that, because it's decentralized, all this money can be reallocated to users, So basically, like or artists. You know, I'm an artist. I mean, we're gonna have to stop soon, but like, I'm an artist basically just with this new Web3 thing, by using decentralized application, or by basically using what we call social community tokens or NFTs to basically build fans and audiences on steroids. So mega evangelists. Basically, I'm gonna create an NFT, issue it, not even sell it, just give it for free to people, and then basically this NFT is gonna be coming with a lot of benefits that I choose as an artist. So 10% of the money I make every year is redistributed to the NFT holders. People who own certain type of NFTs can come to all my concerts in VIP. people who own the most rare NFTs or all of them, whatever, can come once a year to a dinner with me.
Yeah.
Chris Martin, main lead singer of Coldplay, whatever. And so you're making your audience participate into your success, which was never possible before, because the NFT they own or the tokens they own, the Coldplay tokens, have a market value because of all the utility I give to that token. So these people are going to become basically evangelists on steroids. But instead of just saying, I love your music, they're going to say, fucking Coldplay is the best shit in the world because I'm part of the community and like I'm part of this whole thing and I own a piece of their success, even financially.
Yeah.
Because I can resell my tokens. You know, they have a market value, and the bigger the fan base, the more people are going to be willing to pay. So with that, Coldplay can skip most of the labels because they can just say, hey, all community, some of you are marketers, some of you are artists, some of you are DJ, some of you are whatever, finance guy. Like, I'm gonna just post some, it's kind of the future of freelance work for people. Like, I'm going to just post some job description. I'm doing a new album.
Yeah.
I need YouTube videos every month, or I need someone who does a remix, blah, blah. Yeah. You're going to earn Coldplay tokens. Okay. And basically, and these tokens, they come with a benefit. Either you can sell them for cash, either you can, as I said before, earn a percentage of the profit, go to concert, all this stuff. Okay.
So this is through NFT?
Through kind of tokens.
Okay.
Or so NFTs. Basically, what is NFTs is basically, is the social side is basically how do I build these communities, next level communities, so I can skip most of the third parties that were taking all the money before, and I can redistribute all this wealth to people, and these people, they're going to be, because they own a piece of my success and my future success, they basically going to become much better evangelists, and I can skip the people in the middle who were taking all of the money, and I can myself earn more money also, and you know, the more people, the more the thing is going to get big. And then you can basically apply this stuff to not only growing a community or making it stronger, but you can say anyone who is a new artist or a new person or a new YouTuber or a new business can emit a token, and people who believe in them can buy this token. And then again, you're going to build these communities from scratch. That's kind of the new way to build an audience, you know. The future is probably not how many likes or followers I have on Instagram. It's probably how much my token is worth. Because I build a token, people believe in me, and then my ability to generate cash or success is basically being shared with people who own the token. And these people are much more incentivized to just like go and talk about it, you know. And so Bitcoin incepted all this stuff by removing third parties, banks, and then you can apply it, but it was too rigid, so that's why Ethereum was built to build decentralized iOS or Android. People can build their own tokens, a lot of other stuff on the top. And so that's why what these things are. And maybe as a kind of final note, like all this stuff together, market cap of crypto is 2 trillion. It's less than Apple market cap. It's so early. And so probably it's going to go another 50 or 100x from here. And so it's a massive, it's an amazing wealth building opportunity still now. And why? Because it's still early, but because it's so much better. That's why it's called Web 3. It's so much better than Web 2. Because you can remove all this third party. Like basically, if you understand Ethereum, you understand that sooner or later, Facebook is done, Google they're all done. Because just the way of building classic companies that are pro shareholders, kind of working against their customers, is over. Because in the future, you build these decentralized applications or companies or things or projects where the main beneficiaries are your users, you know, like imagine if Uber basically made all their drivers participate since the beginning. All the drivers would have built like so much wealth, 100K each, whatever. Like the Uber pie, instead of being 80 billion at IPO, it would not be an IPO because it would be decentralized, but it would probably be few hundred billions. So Uber would own the guys who started the thing would own less of the percentage of the total thing, but because the entire pie would be much bigger because everybody's incentivized to work for Uber and talk it to, you know, like,
and take a part.
Exactly.
So that was really
it's the future of financing everything, basically.
Blockchain, it's really the idea. It's like get rid, if you look at early things, get rid of the intermediaries and all this with the purpose you just explained very well. So that's a bit of a shame because we really have to rush, both of us. Mainly me having to take my daughters already late for that, but of course we had too much to say.
Of
But
course.
well, maybe we'll have again the
You can do
occasion.
another. Yeah.
Yeah, and still talk about the other things I wanted to talk to you about. And yeah, really, I have a ton, but it's really time to end up for today, unfortunately. But again, massive thank you for taking the time, being here. So lucky to have you in Switzerland. I'll put all your like links and where we can find you
Yeah, I think the most
online.
important is like, I mean, my Instagram is more like for normal people to understand crypto basics and investing. Just started actually like 1 month ago to like really push more.
Yeah.
And then we have like all the Twitter stuff where we have like many more followers and like it's a bit more advanced.
Yeah.
But that's like really focused on crypto to like basically build passive income, build wealth and all that stuff, retire early and
important things. So that you talk with passion, without a doubt. So it was really cool to see you after so many years.
Yeah.
And again, thank you
Nice.
very much, Kevin.
Thank
You
you.
rock. Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.